1.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good morning to you. It's Tuesday, October 18th, 2016. Mayor's Week continues today on Community Conversations. Kato Wonder is in the studio with you, as well as my co-host, Mrs. Kubila Hart. And today we have our second candidate for Mayor of Jonesboro. We have Mr. Nathan Coleman in the studio with us today. Now let me go ahead and give the disclaimer. KLEK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office, nor was any compensation provided for this interview. This interview is provided for informational purposes only. How you doing today, Mr. Coleman?
Oh, better than I deserve. How are you?
All right, doing good. What do you mean you said better than you deserve?
It's just something I've picked up along the way. There's a lot of things that are going pretty good in my life, and I'm just excited about each and every one of them.
All right, well, Mr. Coleman, as always, we start each interview off by asking, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, first off, my name is Nathan Coleman, like you said. I'm 34 years old. I'm a graduate of Nettleton High School. I've been married to my high school sweetheart for 14 years now. We have two awesome kids, a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. They both attend Valley View, and that's where my wife is currently a teacher. We're members of Central Baptist as well as the Journey campus. Just a little bit about me. I've been in law enforcement with the Jonesboro Police Department for 8 years. And throughout that time, I've been a field training officer. I've been an instructor. I'm currently the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. I'm the sergeant at arms for the Arkansas Municipal Police Association. For a little while, I was with the Police Benevolent Association, the local chapter. So I've been trying real hard to kind of be active in the community, especially with the FOP. I think that's the biggest part that allows me an avenue to kind of really do a lot of things with the community.
So kind of explain a little more about the FOP.
The FOP is the Fraternal Order of Police. We consist of around 170 officers and associate members from Jonesboro Police, Craighead County Sheriff's Office, from the jail, ASU PD. We've got some members with Bay PD, Truman PD, and when we all come together, there's a fraternal aspect of it, but for the most part, we do things like the Shop with the Cop, which is coming up December 3rd, where we take roughly 30 children who are usually in like DHS custody, and through partnerships with the Rotary Club of Jonesboro, we take 30 of them, and we take them to Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A opens their doors and allows us and the children to have breakfast or lunch, whatever they want. And Chick-fil-A picks up the tab on that. And a lot of these kids, that's sometimes the first and only time they've ever been there. Okay. And so usually there's a lot of milkshakes and cookies that get ordered. But after that, they get $100, and we take them shopping. And it's incredible to see some of these kids. They don't have a greedy bone in their body. They're still thinking about mom. They're thinking about dad. They're thinking about sister, brother. Foster parent, foster siblings, and it's pretty rewarding to get to go out and do that. And some of them, they just go out there and they want a phone or they want this, but a few of them, they really, you can tell it really means a lot to them, and it means a lot to us. We had one guy that the child, whenever he was probably maybe 4 years old, the child was. Okay. And whenever they were leaving, he asked the officer if he could go home with him, and so. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Oh, goodness. Alrighty.
Well, Mr. Coleman, tell the listeners why you made the decision to run for mayor.
Well, first off, I didn't, being an officer, I never thought that it would be as political as it is. And I guess once you start this, you get to see all kinds of aspects of the city. You get to see where the blight is. You get to see where some pockets of poverty are. You get to see drug activity. You see all these things that most people don't get to see. Okay. And you also get to see those same things with the government and with the things. You get to see how the policies go from being enacted to how they come down and to how they affect each individual person. And one of the things was I keep seeing these policies come down, and a lot of them I don't see the purpose behind them.
Okay.
Like, give an example.
Like the public safety tax.
Okay.
It was sold on the backs of the police and fire. We were out there, holding signs, and I ended up going to the wrong spot, so I gave away smoke detectors. But whenever it was
smoke
passed,
detectors is still good.
it is. So I was hanging out with a bunch of the firemen that day. Hey, they were in the air conditioning, or they were in a covered spot, so I wasn't complaining. It was hot. But anyways, there's like the public safety tax. I feel like if it's going to be sold as public safety tax, it should go towards public safety. And I think there was a slight bait and switch that was done there that I didn't agree with. The property maintenance code. It seems like there's a lot of catering to special interest groups, and I think that the citizens should be the biggest special interest group around.
All right, since you brought up the property maintenance code, let's go ahead and transition into that. Of course, everyone knows the story about the property maintenance code. The code was originally passed with a tie vote by Mayor Perrin. There was a recall election, and the code was repealed, but the issue of blighted housing still remains. There's still issues of tenants who rent from landlords who refuse to fix up their properties, and this is something that's not going to go away. It's going to come up again. So if you are elected mayor of Jonesboro, how would you propose to fix this issue once and for all?
Well, I don't think that there's just a one, snap your fingers and anything's going to be fixed. I think that it's going to be an ongoing issue, just like anything you come up with a set of rules, you're going to have some people that are fighting real hard to find a way to circumvent those rules and to continue doing what they're doing. One of the things that I think that might be a possible resolution is if you had to be registered with the city in order to be a landlord, and if you are constantly getting complaints, and if the city goes in there and I mean, obviously, if you're a tenant, you can allow someone into your house, and if your house is in desperate need of repair, then I'm pretty sure that most people would be willing to say, hey, come in and look at this. These are the things that are going wrong, and I do have a landlord who is failing me, and who refuses to do these things. And you would think that if they're not fixing it, that these people would not rent from them anymore. But if it's still that people need a place to stay and people are going to rent, and some people they feel like they're trapped in their lease agreement, then you're going to have some people that that they're going to say, hey, look, come and check this out. This is what I'm living in. And if you can put the pressure on the landlords to say, listen, we're going to revoke you from being able to be a landlord in the city unless you at least maintain a certain level of integrity in your properties. I think most of them will. I think most of the landlords around here aren't really looking to be slumlords. I think that you can take one tenant and go into a nice house and they can destroy it quick. And it's a big investment when someone puts up that money saying, I'm going to give you a house, like a $80,000 house. Please be careful with it. And and someone goes in and destroys it. So I understand that they've got to be able to protect their investment, but at the same time they need to make sure that if they're offering something and offering a service that they maintain it.
Okay.
One of the things is, if you don't mind if I touch on the property maintenance code, one of the things I didn't like about it was I felt like there would be a lot of what do you call it, like scams. Like
Mr. Coleman, pull the mic just a little closer to you.
All right, sorry.
All right.
Like if you have some contractors that want to go to like an elderly person's house and show them a list of, look, this, your gutters, your roof, your windows, all of these things need to be repaired, and they give them this astronomical bill, and look, the city's going to fine you this much if you don't right now, or you can sell me your property and I'll take care of it. And I feel like that there were talks that could be coming if that was passed.
Okay.
All right, we have a Facebook shout out. This comes from David Carnes. Shout out to Nathan Coleman. Thank you for your service and dedication to this great community. Well, thank you for that comment, Mr. Carnes. And of course, if you have a comment, you can leave it on our Facebook live stream. You can also give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. We are speaking with Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. Mr. Coleman, were there any other remarks you want to say about the property code before we went to the next question?
No, I'm good on that.
All right. So why do you feel you are qualified to be the mayor? Why should Why should the people elect you? Because one of the things, we have had a police officer as a mayor before, and there have been some people that think that didn't work out for the best. That's not for me to judge. I actually was an ASU student when all that was going on. But what qualifications do you feel that you have for the position?
Well, the answer on this is somewhat simplistic. I think that one of the reasons that I feel like I'm qualified is because I'm not a politician. I'm not out here trying to pass any type of agenda. I feel that as an officer, I'm tasked with holding people accountable. When I come across someone on the street, I'm there to try to figure out what's going on, figure out if there's anything criminal, anything deceitful, and to hold people accountable for the actions that they take. And I feel like right now we're not really seeing a whole lot of that, and I would like to kind of bring that into upper administration position and start being able to hold people accountable across the board whenever they start making some of these decisions that they're making. I've been in a similar type of a leadership role as far as being field training officer. I mean, I'm responsible for someone who's going to go out there and has the ability to take away someone's civil liberties, their right to freedom, and put them in jail. And I have to make sure that I can instill in them, things that they may not have got from the academy and things that they may not have picked up in a book. And I mean, it's far-reaching, and I feel like I have integrity. I fought very hard to try to get a pay scale enacted, and there were many times where I was either ridiculed, put under investigation, or things like that. But if it's something I believe in, I'm going to see it through to the end.
And let's transition to that, because you mentioned that you were played a part in helping to get the pay scale enacted. Now that the pay scale has been enacted, they're now focusing on getting similar pay raises for the fire department as well as other workers of the city, but there has been some concerns that on down the line that it could have a negative impact on the budget to the point of where there may have to be some cuts in the department or even a tax or something to sustain the money, because right now it's coming from the reserve fund. So Mr. Coleman, if you are mayor, what would you do to be able to ensure that these races can be paid for in the future so that the people who work for the city, the officers, the firemen, and the other workers continue to earn the salaries that they deserve?
Well, if you don't care, can I have just a second just to kind of break down the raise thing?
Sure.
All right. A lot of people like to say it's a raise, and a raise sounds like, hey, we're giving you this in addition to, compensation. I'm an 8-year officer. I'm still at starting salary. And the issue that we've been trying to get is to try to find a means of progression, because in 2009, the Johansson Group came up with a scale saying this is where your starting should be, this is where your 10-year point should be, this is where your 20-year point should be. And, they put forth these checkpoints and, little waypoints, but I'm reaching 8 years and I'm still at starting salary, so that there's an issue there. And so the raise per se is more along the lines of just building a scale in something that they already have. And there are some people who were at the top of their scale and they're not seeing anything at all, because whenever the scale come about and you plug them into where they should be, they're not seeing anything at all. Some are seeing a very small amount because that's how far they're off. Some are seeing a larger amount, but that's how far the deficit is. That would be like you saying, I'm not going to pay my light bill for 9 months, and then all of a sudden saying, all right, I'm going to get current on it. Well, it's going to cost you some money. It's not going to be, they're not just going to say, all right, pay this month and you're good. And that's where the large price tag of this comes from, is to move people to where they actually should be. There was a salary and longevity committee that was headed by Daryl Dover a few years ago, and it was tasked with fixing these issues. I attended these meetings, and I even gave pay scales as examples, which were kind of discarded. And I was trying to push there that we need to do something now, and we need to do something for all departments. We need to implement a scale, and they don't have to be the same scale, and I was actually hoping that, we would actually go department by department, and find like sanitation, this is how far off they are, this is how much it's going to take, because some of them may not be that far off. And just to do a blanket fix for everybody seemed kind of, reckless. But I think that they should have gone in each individual one. Like the police department, this year alone, we turned back $700,000. If they were to have given us the raise with back pay, it would have been $646,000. Well, we found out about a week ago that they're not doing back pay. They're only doing back pay to October 1st, to where it was implemented. So the price tag's really only about $100,000 to $200,000 is what they're actually doing for this year. So that's going to leave with close to a $500,000 overage that we're still turning back in. That doesn't add anything to the city's budget, and I'm sure that there are other things, other departments that are probably having some sort of turnback. And if you look at the it was $34 million a while back, but they've spent some of that out of reserves. That money came from the public safety tax. If you're taking something that's bringing in about $7.5 million a year, and you bring it in for 4 years, and you all of a sudden have a reserve pop up of $30-something million, and that's where it come from. And they're using grants for some other things, but the money's there if we prioritize.
So do the citizens have a right to see this budget or see, okay, this tax is going for this, do the citizens have a right to see the itemized, I usually say budget, or where the money has been allocated?
If you go online on the city's website, you can print the full budget. It's not as detailed as I would like to see. I'm sure there's a detailed copy because every department has to turn in a very detailed itemized budget. I think they have to turn in like this week or next week, and then the mayor will go through and he will take all of those and he will either send them back and say cut them by 5%, or he'll say do this, make whatever changes he feels necessary, and then he'll compile a master budget, which he'll then send forth to city council. I would imagine that, it's freedom of information. I imagine you could get a copy of it if you wanted to.
Well, I just want to encourage those that, have questions about how the city government is being run, go to the city's website and find out as much information as you can. Make phone calls and ask questions. Yeah. And it's your money, so you have a right.
And there's limited seating at the city council meetings for some reason. And so they have them all televised on Channel 24. Oh. They have them on the website. If you just Google City Council, then when it shows up, you can click on agendas and videos. And for the most part, they have all of the videos in there, so you can see exactly what transpired in each meeting.
Okay.
Once again, we are speaking with Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. We have another Facebook shout out. Shout out to Steve Richardson. Appreciate you for watching our live stream. All right, Mr. Coleman, let's talk about growth and annexation. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that. Should we continue to annex land to grow, or should we just make do with what we have?
No, I think by being one of the largest cities in Arkansas, I think we have plenty of land. If we're not even offering the water, and we've got some people de-annexing for the fact that it's so costly to get water out there, then no, I don't think we should be annexing anything else in. Right now, we're just trying to keep up with what we've got. The more you annex in, the more roads you have to pave, the more roads you have to stripe, the more sidewalks you have to build.
The more traffic increases. Yeah. And I saw an article, a news story on KAIT talking about the growth, the increase in accidents within certain parts of the city. I know that, yes, we do have some improvements going on, but at the same time, because of the different businesses and other venues that have been added to the city, traffic has just increased. And we're at a point where can we really sustain?
Well, I'll tell you this, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Once they close Highland, right there at the overpass.
That's going to be a nightmare.
Wait a minute. Close it for what?
Well, they're going to build eventually, on the intersection of Nettleton and Highland where those railroad tracks are, they're going to build an overpass over that.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is going to be good when it opens, but when they close it.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Oh, my goodness.
It's going to suck.
Yeah. There's no other way around it. So, in doing these improvements, you're going to have a lot of complications, I'm sure, and then you're going to have the issues of where is all this traffic going to go. If we can barely sustain it now, then where is it going to go whenever we start cutting lanes and blocking roads and things like that? But hopefully, Jonesboro has good-spirited people, and I think that people will make do. People will, hopefully not get in too big of a hurry. But cell phones right now, I think, are the biggest killer. People, every red light, it's almost like a race for everybody to get their phones out and check their texts like they didn't just check it at the last one, But
oh goodness.
So someone texted me from this red light to the next red light or something.
Well, then speaking of traffic and the various issues that I want to I know they gave this program access to about the convention centers and hotels.
Well, let's go ahead and ask the question, then we'll get his answer on the other side of the break. So we'll go ahead and ask this now. Mr. Coleman, what are your thoughts on the two convention centers? Can the city of Jonesboro sustain them both? What do you think about the A&P Commission opting to support I believe that's the Keller project that's out on 555 as opposed to the ASU project? We'll be back after the break with Mr. Nathan Coleman's answer to that and several other issues. This is Mayor's Week on Community Conversations, and you listen to KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Have you ever had a job where it wasn't clear what was expected of you? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. If you're a father, being a dad is your most important job. And in that job, it's important to have a job description that spells out what's required of you. So here are some essentials to being a successful dad. First, spend quantity time with your kids. How you spend your time is a reflection of what's important to you. You value your kids by being with them, making memories that will last a lifetime. Second, be a role model. Role models don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. Be who you want your kids to be. For more essentials in your job as a dad, visit my blog at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook.
Attention members and guests. KLEK 102.5 FM and Legends 1025 presents the A-State After Party for grown folks. It's going down after every Arkansas State home football game this season at Legends 1025, 1025 West Johnson Avenue in front of Riceland Foods. Admission starts at just $5. 21 and up to enter. Live broadcast on KLEK 102.5 FM. Music by DJ Sharkzilla. Hosted by Mr. Chew. Let's cheer on the Arkansas State Red Wolves to victory. And then celebrate after each home game at Legends 1025. These events are KLEK fundraisers.
The first 30 ladies get in free. Court-appointed Special Advocate Program of the 2nd Judicial District presents Run Crazy for CASA 5K Yearly Race Fundraiser, Saturday, November 5th at the ASU Pavilion. Start time is 8 o'clock a.m. Registration for runners and walkers is ongoing, and Halloween costumes are encouraged to be worn but not required. Prizes will be awarded to the top 3 male and female winners in each age group, as well as the top 5 overall male and female finishers. There will also be t-shirts, pizza, massages, and a costume contest. Proceeds from the 5K will be used to help CASA's mission of helping children taken into foster care due to abuse and neglect. Registration for the 5K and other information is available at neacasa.org. CASA is a nonprofit organization.
Sarton Tire is now Lightning Tire and Towing LLC, 403 North Main Street and 4612 East Nettleton in Jonesboro. New name, same service, 30 years and counting. Offering new and used tires available with no credit check needed, 90 days same as cash. Leasing options available. They also offer auto repair, 24-hour towing, car wash, and auto detailing services. Lightning Tire and Towing believes that people serving and giving back to the community is what real business is all about. Phone number 870-932-1412.
First Baptist Church presents Revive Us Again Revival, October 18th through the 20th. The revival starts at 7 o'clock p.m. each night. The special revivalist is the Reverend Jamil Wesley, pastor of 8th Street Missionary Baptist Church in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The revival will take place at First Baptist Church, 700 Kitchen Street, in Jonesboro. Reverend Curtis R. Wilson, pastor.
New St. John Missionary Baptist Church, 308 North Main Street in Jonesboro, is under the direction of Reverend Ted T. Taylor Sr. Worship services are Sundays at 11 o'clock a.m., Sunday school is on Sundays at 9:30 a.m., prayer service is Wednesday nights at 6:30, and Bible class is on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. New St. John also has the Men of Standards Ministries, Outreach Ministry, Choir, Youth Ministry, Dance Ministry, and Missionary Society. www.newstjohn.org. New St. John Missionary Baptist Church on Facebook, 870-932-6915.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. And for those of you that are watching on our live stream, you may be wondering who these other beautiful ladies that are at our round table with us were. Next to Mr. Coleman is Miss Danielle Wells. She is our newest volunteer / intern, and Mrs. Nora Hunt, who is also a volunteer for the radio station. So just wondering who's sitting at the table with Mr. Coleman, now you know. Let's go ahead and get into Facebook. We have a Facebook question for Mr. Coleman, and this comes from Donna Humble Per Year. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. She asked, what about the citizens that were annexed in and are still dealing with septic instead of city sewer? Why can't we take care of what we have first instead of more annexing?
Oh, I completely agree. My old house was on Casey Springs, and we had been annexed in, I think, with the large 40 square mile annexation. We did get the roads paved, and we did get city water and light, but we were still operating on septic. And, septic obviously fails after some time and has to be replaced. And we had checked in on trying to see how much it would cost to get sewer out there, and they said that they would have to put in a new pumping station. I would have to have every single person in there commit to signing on to connect to it. They would be responsible with the cost. I believe it was over $100,000 to run the pipes down there, and that would be split on everybody's bill until it was paid for. Well, my neighbor had just put in a brand new septic tank, so she was not going to be on board. And there were some other people that had just had major repairs. And I would like to see, if at all possible, if City Water and Light does have some money that they are looking to try to allocate at the end of the year, if they would consider also running some sewer to these places as well, because it is an issue whenever it becomes saturated and in the winter time and things like that, because of just the type of the soil that is in some of the surrounding areas.
All right, well, Mrs. Per Year, we certainly thank you for that question. And of course, if you have a question, it's just that easy. Just if you are watching on our Facebook live stream, just post your question, and we will call 877. That Facebook question, we was asking Mr. Coleman about the convention centers and his thoughts on that. So once again, going to ask the question for those who are just coming in. Want to get Mr. Coleman's thoughts on the two convention centers, what he thinks about them, what does he think about the A&P Commission's decision to support the Keller project over the ASU project.
All right.
Oh, well, we got a call, so let's go to the phones. Right. KLEK.
Good morning.
Hey, Miss Farrell.
Hi, Miss Farrell.
Well, to your guests and all the volunteers and everybody that's listening.
Oh.
I went to the Academy, Police Academy, and I enjoyed it. And the question that I have for you is, the present mayor has really supported North Jonesboro, which I live in North Jonesboro, and I realize that the whole city should be, taken care of. But what are your plans to do, if anything, in improving North Jonesboro as far as getting businesses to locate like a Walmart or any business that wants to come to Jonesboro and migrate this way? We have a whole world of people that live here, and we have to travel so far to get the product and the goods that we need. And if they come, restaurants or whatever, McDonald's, Walmart, Burger King, I see land all out 141 for sale signs. Do you think you would be supportive of bringing businesses to North Jonesboro?
Well, I mean, I'd like to kind of leave the city aspect and the business aspect and allow them to kind of do their thing. A lot of them, they're not going to say we're going to put this in a place where it's not going to prosper. They're going to come out, they're going to do studies to try to figure out where, putting something is going to have the best rate of return. If there's certain needs in certain areas of town, like I know the north side of town, it's lacking some things. So is some areas on the south side of town. And I mean, you can influence and you can try to incentivize them to come to certain areas. But at the end of the day, I mean, if they're the ones that own the business, they're going to be the ones to decide, if this is going to be where I'm going to put it, if this is not going to be where I put it. But I've heard the same complaint, from there being a lack of certain services that are outside of the realm of the city in certain areas. And I mean, definitely, if we can try to get some people in there to try to help expand, not just expand in certain directions, but expand in all directions, I think that'd definitely be great.
Yeah, I realize that, but I'm asking you, will you support that if the citizens of Jonesboro, came to the city council or wherever and asked, would you support businesses coming toward North Jonesboro? Would you be supportive of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what my question was, and I know that people are not going to pass by a McDonald's and go all the way to Calvary Road if that's what they want. I see traffic. I've lived in North Jonesboro all of my life, and I've seen the growth. And I know that these people, just like myself, they're gonna buy the goods. All they need is the business to come to them.
Yes.
That's all I was asking.
Well, I remember whenever I was younger, my grandparents, one of them lived on Forest and one of them lived on Pecan. And if we ordered a pizza, they would not deliver north of Johnson after dark. Mm-hmm. And so we would have to go to the I don't even remember if the gas station was there. I think there was a gas station there still at the corner. We would have to go and meet there to pick it up. And I think they were coming from the Southwest Drive Pizza Inn location or somewhere in that area. And so
but sure, if you had those places here, because we eat the same thing that everybody else eats. We buy clothes and do the same things that everybody else does.
Yes, ma'am.
But you have to go farther to get the goods. And I mean, your money is your money. It's all green.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what the question was. And good luck in your campaign.
Well, thank you very much.
I thank you for the call, Mrs. Farrell. And of course, once again, if you have a call or a question for Mr. Coleman, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the convention center.
All right. I think Jonesboro can support both of them. With the church taking over the fairgrounds, that was one of the largest areas in the convention. That was the old figure. You may even have some type of entertainment come in. At some point, I'm sure there are going to be seminars and all these things that are going to come into the one on I-555. I feel that ASU is big enough and they have enough programs that they can definitely support one. I think that they're kind of in a unique position because if in a few years from now it looks like that one's not doing well, I mean, it wouldn't take much to convert it over, add some classrooms, turn the hotel into housing if need be. They're not going to let even if it doesn't become profitable, they're not going to let there and sit there and let it rot. They're gonna do some things to capitalize on the building and everything.
And piggybacking off of that, Mr. Coleman, if you are elected mayor, what would you do to attract more entertainment and other things of the life, and we also transition into the water parks, dog park issues? Do you feel that it's the city's responsibility to do that, or should the city do more to encourage private businesses to set up these kinds of activities and venues to come to the city?
Well, I think like a dog park, things like that, city parks, those are the city's responsibility, and I think that there needs to be more of them. I would like to see some more basketball goals put up. But as far as the water park goes, I mean, if you look at Little Rock and Wild River Country and some of the ones in other places, they cost a lot of money to operate. and I don't think that the city should be in that business. If we want to, like I said, incentivize and either offer land or offer tax breaks to get something like that here, then absolutely. If, let's say, the citizens wanted to get together, start a petition, and they wanted to get it on the ballot to say, we know that it's going to be a money pit, we know it's not going to be profitable, but this is what we want. We want a water park, and we understand, and we'll pass this whatever tax in order to have it. Then then I wouldn't have a problem trying to set it up and and having the city run it and maintain it. But it would have to be. It's not going to be a profitable adventure. I mean, that's something, and I think that most of the time with capitalism, it doesn't need to be the city that goes in there and does these things. It should be a private business. But if everybody says, hey, I understand that this is what we want, no private business is coming, we'll support a tax or we'll do whatever to have it, then yeah, I'm okay with that. But I feel that the city government is only here to do things that you cannot do. As far as, you're not going to go out and pave your street, you're not going to go out there and put up a street sign, you're not going to go out there and put up a red light, and that's what the goal should be. The goal should be to do things that the average citizen cannot do. Everybody's going to pull their money together, and hopefully that money will be spent wisely, and it won't be going to certain groups, it won't be going to this guy for favors. It should go solely for city services, police, fire, sanitation, streets, signals, parks, recreation, things like that.
I have a question. I want to piggyback off of that, and I'm surprised Miss Nora didn't ask when she called in. Okay, we start adding more of these venues to the city. Well, people are going to need a way to get there, and yes. I know we have the jet system in place, and I really love it. I use the paratransit service myself, but many people use the regular bus route. Okay, bringing more things in, they're going to be after hours sometimes, and so people need a way to get there. So how do you feel about extending the service later hours in the evenings and some weekend times? I do understand, as many do, they should know by now, that a big portion of the money comes from federal funding. So if you were, mayor, how would you approach that program?
Well, first off, I'd like to see, I'd like to get in there and see exactly what the stipulation.
Okay.
And see if it's possible that that's something we can walk away from, and not accept the federal funding. If we are allowed to keep the system, keep the hub and all that, and maybe go to some smaller buses, more, because I think right now we're running a lot of empty buses. We're running a lot of buses that are not to capacity, and I feel like if we were responsible for that and we could make our own rules, we could make our own hours, we wouldn't have to go by the federal guidelines because we wouldn't be taking federal money. Now, if it's something that we cannot do it without federal money, then it would, you'd have to look into maybe extending the hours. But I think it's ridiculous that we're not running them on the weekends and that we're not running them in the key times, because most people who work 8 to 5, they can't go shopping, they can't go do these things after work, especially if they have no way to get there. And so, I'd have to just look and see exactly what the possibilities are first. But yeah, that's something I'd definitely like to see.
KLK, who's this?
Hello?
KLK.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Farrell, we can hear you.
I can't hardly hear you. Well, anyway, I was going to call back on the bus issue. I thought you might get to it later, but Mr. Kell was telling me, Kawita, that you had some information about that. I was going to talk to you later, but since I'm on the phone and I do ride the bus quite often, I was going to tell you again, or just suggesting that if he does become mayor, that's another thing that we do need is that transportation. You said they're riding some buses that are empty. I think what that problem is, the routes. The routes that they really need. I've rode the bus for the last probably 3 years, maybe 2 years, daily. And some of the routes, if they would, and I talk to people that ride, and they mean that I have a car, and I still do ride some, but they really need it, and they use it. If you study the ridership, if you know anything about it, it's up. And people are riding them. But the routes has a lot to do with when people ride and where they ride. And I've talked to drivers, and I don't know if they have any drivers on the committees. anything that gives feedback to the people that operate that system, that good system. But they're the ones that they need to talk to, because they're the ones that take the people where they need to go. And I was waiting till the elections were over, and whoever's going to be in place on city council, and whoever's going to be in place as the mayor, for a group of people with myself to come up and ask about the extended hours and the Saturdays and Sundays riding. So I hope that you'll be a part of that if you're, fortunate enough to be the mayor, and help us with that, because the people really do want and need it.
Well, yes, ma'am. But let me throw this out there real quick.
Okay.
In order for someone to kind of be the voice, they have to hear your voice, and so that's something that I would like to encourage anybody. If you have an issue, be it about the bus system, or if you think you have an idea that may help to create some type of positive change, reach out to your council members and let them know. And if you don't hear anything from that, reach out to the mayor, whoever it may be. Hopefully it'll be I, but if not, then reach out to whoever, and if they don't hear these things, they may think that everything's going great and not know that there are any issues.
Yeah, well, we're in the process of coming up before the council and the mayor. We're just waiting till everything gets settled after the elections and all, and the new budget will be coming in, and they can put money, where they think it's needed, and hopefully they'll put some of it and get these buses out on the road for the weekends for people.
Well, but
so they can get to the jobs and everywhere else they need to go.
But if they don't know that that's the issue, and then they may not put that money in the budget specifically for that.
That's right.
Make sure you keep on about it.
You're right, but we definitely will be there.
All right.
Well,
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was informed yesterday that there is an advisory committee.
There is.
For not just JETS, but of the various other programs in the city. So I will get that information to you and the person that you need to contact. And for anyone out there listening, her name is Erica Tate. That's over that Citizens Advisory Committee. So contact City Hall, ask for Erica Tate, and she'll be happy to direct you where you need to go.
And we have another Facebook shout out to Dusty L. Big. So appreciate you for watching our live stream. We're speaking with Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. You can leave your questions and comments on our Facebook live stream. We got a couple more from Mrs. Donna Humble per year. She said, yes, North Jonesboro is the forgotten land, sidewalks, roads, etc., and they still won't deliver on this side of town, after a certain time. Well, hopefully that will change. All right, Mr. Coleman, my next question for you is whoever is elected the next mayor, one of the tasks that the mayor gets to do is appoint department heads. If you are elected mayor, do you see any changes that you would make in department heads? Would you keep the current heads of the departments? How would you evaluate that?
First off, I would leave it as it is for right now and give everybody a chance to either shine or fail under a new administration. What I would ask of them is, 4 things. Just make sure you have your people's back, make sure you have your people's trust, make sure you have their respect, and be honest with them and me. And if they can do that, then I think that they should be able to lead. If they fail in that manner, then they will be replaced. I'm not above going in there and replacing somebody if they need to be. But I feel like as a leader, you can't just sit there and give the orders. You have to be part of it. You can't go in there with a you do this attitude. You have to go in there with a we need to do this attitude. And I feel like some of the department heads may feel like their hands are tied. I don't know this. Okay. I'm just saying this is from me here.
Okay.
I would like to see what they can really do whenever they don't have whenever they have a little more freedom to lead.
All right, and you got another shout out. This is from Kayla Sane. She says, go Nathan, great man.
Thank you, Kayla.
Is it the mayor's responsibility to host, like, say, staff meetings with the department heads, separate from, the city council and other people? So from just like you're elected day one, would you go in with an agenda, or would you just first listen to what they have to say?
No, I would first listen to what they have to say. There is the department head meeting, and then there's also the employee representative meeting.
Okay.
I was on the employee rep committee until I parked my car, and then I was removed from that position. But even then, even when we were in that position, it was kind of failed to begin with, because I work real well with the street department. We work real well with sanitation. If there's an issue, I can send them an email. I can send them a text. I can let dispatch know, and they'll take care of it. There's not a disconnect between these departments, and this was kind of formed to kind of figure out how we can better just being a city employee in general. But when you have these meetings and you don't have any administration, you don't have the mayor, you don't have HR director, you don't have anybody from the mayor's office that's actually in these meetings, I don't see how you're going to make any progress.
Okay.
And one thing I'd like to do is, these guys are the ones that are elected by their departments to represent them, and I don't think that they should be having a meeting out in the Public Works building. They need to be having a meeting up in the mayor's office. They need to be held in the same regard as these department heads, because they're probably going to be a little more honest with you than some of the department heads whenever it comes to what's really going on.
Okay.
All right, we've got 30 seconds. You mentioned just a few moments ago that you did park your car.
Right.
Okay. This actually comes from one of your opponents, Mrs. Amanda Donovan. She want to know, why did you park your car if you were on duty? Why y'all didn't do anything different?
All right. You mean answer that now or after the break?
We'll get to that.
Well, let's do it after break. We only got 15 seconds. I don't want to rush that. We are talking to Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Money issues have long been cited as the most common characteristic of failed marriages and other relationships. But it does not have to be that way. Black Enterprise Senior Personal Finance Editor Stacey Tisdale offers the following advice for couples who want to overcome and avoid differences when it comes to managing their money. Set long and short-term goals as a couple. Stay connected to your goals by having a monthly money date. Attach a positive activity to it, like dinner, and be sure to talk about your goals and dreams, not just your problems. Figure out how to build on each other's strengths. Note, do not have this meeting at the beginning or end of the month, as things tend to be tense near bill paying time. I'm out of time, but tune in for Money Matters tomorrow for more tips to keep you and your mate from being divided over money issues. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org. Whistle Stop Bistro and Catering, 5435 East Nettleton Avenue at the four-way stop between Highways 351 and 463, serving Jonesboro for over 5 years with a motto of, we cater them all, large or small, offers catering and rental space for parties, churches, offices, and fundraisers for holidays and all occasions. They also offer a full breakfast and lunch menu. Open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. 870-275-6239. Details at klekfm.org.
House of Details, located at 4903 East Nettleton Avenue, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, waxing, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more, with a motto of anything mean, we can clean. Details at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and klekfm.org.
Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers of Fullness of Joy Church, 3307 Ray Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401.
Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a non-profit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to non-profit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klek.org. www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations with our guest, Mr. Nathan Coleman, candidate for the office of Mayor of the City of Jonesboro. Before we went to break, there was a question from Mrs. Amanda Donovan, who asked, why did you park your patrol car if you were on duty? Why not do something different? So, Mr. Coleman, your opportunity to respond.
Nobody parked their patrol car on duty. There were no services ever taken away from the city. We made sure of that. There was nobody pressured into doing this. This was a collaborative effort from a lot of different officers who have been working for this whole pay scale issue. We've tried talking to our administration. When that didn't work, we tried talking to the city council. We've tried talking to the mayor. I mean, obviously, if something's not working, you need to change your tactic, and change your strategy. And that's what we did. This was another strategy that we had never explored. And, we actually had more officers that were on board with it, but only 23 of them actually followed through. 24 did, but I think one car came up missing by that next morning. But, it was just people have been trying to get this, get pay talked about. And every time it's brought up, either the take-home cars have been threatened or they want to bring that up and kind of throw that in your face like, well, look, we're doing this for you, And I understand, but I can't pay. I can't feed my family with my take-home car. It's nice to have. I'm not going to. It is at most a convenience for me, and that was kind of what the letter that was written was kind of insinuating, that this is a benefit for the city because it does put people there. It does spread the cars out. But whenever I have someone at 3 o'clock in the morning knocking on my door while I'm at work because they know that there's an officer that lives there. My wife has to deal with that. My family has to deal with that. And people know, and then whenever all of this targeting cops come about, and you see messages on Facebook where they talk about, shooting up officers' houses. And there were some in Jonesboro where it even said, you know where they live, they park their cars in front of their house. And so, my wife sees that, and my children, see that as well. And it's, and they have to deal with that too. It's not just me. If it was just me, that's, it is what it is. But my family's in that same house, and I don't want to put them in any more risk than need be. But to answer her question specifically, no cars were parked there on duty. I was in my wife's van. Whenever someone got off of work, I would take them to their house. We made sure there were no weapons in the vehicles. They were not left unsecured. Nobody parked in the mayor's spot, so he could still come in that morning. And it was just kind of a show to say that, listen, if the take-home cars are the only thing stopping us from being able to discuss pay, then here they are. And now that that's no longer an issue, let's discuss pay. Okay. Which we still didn't get the meeting, but we did get a meeting with Mitch Johnson. And so big thanks to him and for kind of helping us lead this. It has grown into something more, and I think it's going to be a good thing for the Jonesboro Police Department, and I think it's going to be a good thing for the city of Jonesboro as well.
All right, we have another Facebook shout out. This, once again, is from Dustin L. Biggs. He said, Nathan will put others' needs before his own, and he will make a great mayor, and thanks KLEK for airing this live. Well, thank you, Dustin. We do this for the community. Of course, we don't endorse or support any candidate, but we do provide the forum for all candidates, and just like Mrs. Donovan asked that question, she will be on Friday, and so you will be able to ask her candidates, and you'll be able to ask all of the candidates questions. But we're winding down on time, so let's go ahead and get into some other issues. Let's talk about flooding. So kind of give your thoughts about what's the best way to resolve the flooding, drainage, and sidewalk issues that the city of Jonesboro faces.
Well, I think to start, we could start by just doing a real heavy attack on the ditches. Just driving day to day, you still see ditches that have not been mowed and that don't flow through these things. I don't know. I'd have to see what the environmental damage would be by round-upping a lot of these, or if you need to go in there and actually put a weed eater in there and get it done that way. We've got a lot of landscaping companies that they're blowing all of their grass clippings out into the road. Once it rains, all of those go straight down into the ditch, into the city sewer and stuff like that. And they can cause clogs. But I think the Corps of Engineers has already put a price tag on it, and I think they had said somewhere like $500 million, but with the first phase being $100 million. And I think some of our problem lies somewhere outside of our reach. But we can do what we can do with our stuff, with our ditches, with our floodplains and retention ponds and things like that. We can always work to improve those. I've never seen flooding like this, and maybe this was just an anomaly, but it happened twice in a very short time. But I was out on Prospect still responding to calls, and I had to take my belt off, my vest off, because I was in chest deep water responding to calls out there trying for people. It was an elderly lady who had called in who was concerned about water getting in her house and afraid it was going to hit the electrical outlets. And before that, I was out working an off-duty job at the church, directing traffic in the same pouring down rain. And it's just, I plan to serve in any capacity that I can. If I'm the mayor and I need to be out there putting up barricades, I'm gonna be out there putting up barricades. Anything that I can do.
All right. Well,
that kind of leads into.
Well, actually, we're getting ready to get into the closing as I see the timer winding down. So, Mr. Coleman, we have about 2.5 minutes. So, this is your opportunity to let the citizens of Jonesboro know why you feel that they should elect you the next mayor of Jonesboro.
Well, I'm not going to go out there and start begging people to vote for me. I never have done that. I just want to kind of put out there to who I am. I want people to see me for what I am, nothing more, nothing less. I feel like I hold myself to a high standard. I have all my life, and I want to let everybody know that if I can win this, which from my understanding I'm getting a really positive response. Then I will do everything in my power to be one of the best mayors that Jonesboro has ever seen. I will work with any group, every nationality, race. I want to let people know that I don't have anybody, I'm not in anybody's back pocket. And so I think that's one of the greatest things is I'm not a politician, and hopefully I never become one. In that aspect, when you start talking about politicians, people kind of give you that look.
Yeah.
Anyways, and I want people to hold me accountable. If there's anything that I've said on this radio station or any other one about what I'd like to see done, if I get in there and I'm not doing what I said I was going to do, then I want people to hold me accountable and let me know.
All right.
All right. Well, we thank you, Mr. Coleman, for stopping by for this interview. And of course, this interview will be on our Facebook page. It will also be on our new KLEK TV page. Just go on our website, klekfm.org. Just click media and then click KLEK TV. It takes you right to our YouTube page where you can see this video as well as video of all of the editions of Community Conversations. They're all right there in one place. Once again, KLEK and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council does not endorse nor support any candidate for office. Compensation provided for this interview. This interview was provided for informational purposes only. Mayor's Week continues tomorrow with Mr. Tom Elwood, and then we'll have Mayor Perrin on Thursday. We will have Mrs. Amanda Donovan on Friday, and then next Monday we will have Mr. Harold Copenhagen. So make sure that you check out all of those interviews. Go on KLEK TV to review them all, watch them all, and then when early voting begins Monday all the way up until Election Day, make sure that you are an informed voter so that you can elect the people who best represent how you feel. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but we will definitely encourage you to vote because your vote is your voice. God bless you. You all have a great day. You listen to KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversation.